Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Conquest. Today, we are talking about the conclusion of Daredevil Born Again.
Let's go to breakdown. What were some of your favorite moments from the last couple episodes?
Yeah. Some of my favorite moments were kind of like the little character interactions. I think they did a lot of those really well. I really liked the bank episode. I know a lot of people were like, it's just filler, But I felt like that one, that had a lot of, like, kind of realization from Matt. And I really liked how he beat the shit out of the guy at the very end, I will say.
The best episode to me is episode 8, the one where it ends with Matt getting shot and Bullseye breaking out of jail. That episode is shot so beautifully. They keep the pacing of the story fantastically. Like, they keep you at the edge of your seat. And I really loved it's when they start to kind of reintroduce, like, not to say some cinematography, but they really start playing with the idea of lighting. Like, when you see Bullseye and everything goes blue, and when you see Matt, he has red light shining on him. They start to get a little more artistic with it.
Yeah, I
which
agree.
I appreciate.
I definitely think that first episode had a lot of art direction in it, and then that kind of went away for a bit, and then it started to, like, come back in.
Well, that's the thing, August, right? So I don't think it's a secret that the show was rewritten a couple times.
Yeah.
And originally it didn't include Foggy and Karen and some of these other characters.
Yeah.
So there's like 2 creative teams I found out. So there's creative team original, which made like this middle part.
Yeah.
And then they had the new creative team made episode 1 and the last 2 episodes. And I feel like in the show, there's sometimes like a weird, not disconnect, but I feel like I could feel the difference. Like, it's pretty
apparent. Yeah.
Apparent. That's the exact word I was thinking.
No
I have an issue because I feel like the finale was just him becoming Daredevil again, which I'm okay with, but I was like, they had so much to like do, I guess. But first episode, no longer Daredevil.
Yeah.
Last episode, finally Daredevil.
Yeah.
And to be honest, episode 9, I think, had so much to tackle that I feel like they were trying to do too much.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like the fact that, well, there's a couple things I don't like. Number 1, I don't think the show needs to be this gory. Like, it's overtly gory. Like, I want some gore, right? Like, I'll take some. But this last episode is so overly gory that I was like, and to the point where I'm like, some of the blood looks too like CGI'd and so fake. Like, maybe they shot some of it and were like, it's gory, and then we're like, Disney was like, let's fucking crank it so that we're committed to this. And I don't need like the what would you call it, like swinging so far the other way. Like, there is a happy medium, I think. Because I do love this stuff, like in that bank episode, August, when he jumps on the guy's leg, and it's like, that's brutal. But I don't need to see, like, I think like they did a great job in episode 1 of riding that brutal line where like Bullseye's throwing things at people's heads, and you're like, oh, damn. But then this episode, it's like Frank is just like
immediately blows the guy's head open.
I'm like, and I don't mind this. This, I think, was an important scene with Commissioner Gallo and Fisk just crushing his head in.
Yeah.
And I do think a character like Muse, who I'm sure we'll talk about more in this episode.
Yeah, I got feelings about him.
He deserves some gore, right? Because that's like his thing. But the Frank stuff, I just think was like a little too much for me, honestly. And I think like it took away, like with the CGI blood, it took away from me.
Yeah.
I also have a complaint about the action in the last episode, because that scene in the apartment, I just felt like the editing was weird. It was kind of jarring.
Yeah.
And the slow motion every time Frank is like
executing a guy.
I was like, I don't know if this is necessarily how I wanted this to go.
Yeah.
But I'm glad Frank's back, and I think there's an interesting story to tell with him, especially, you know, with the ending that they had for him. But let's talk about Muse.
Muse is really interesting, and I think I told you this when his episodes aired. I really wish they did a little bit more with him because he's supposed to be the serial killer, and from everything I've seen, like a really scary kind of messed up guy who's just willing to like break his own hand just to prove a point. And I feel like we got bits of that, and what they did do was really good. I just wish we got more of it because he shows up for like 2 episodes really, and then he dies. And
it's really like 1.5.
yeah, he's 1.5 episodes, and you're like, I mean, it was good, but like what they had was great. But again, like you said, I wish they kind of upped his like freak factor.
Yeah, he's a character too that, to be honest, I didn't like that they made him some like kid that was, because there's a lot of parallels, I guess. You're dealing with Matt's new girlfriend,
Yeah,
who is writing this thing about understanding people behind the mask. And Muse is a great example of a guy that was like, there is no mask, like he is Muse.
yeah,
And I didn't like that he was some spoiled kid that was, he got in-house taekwondo lessons. I was like, I felt like I wanted to see more of him doing art.
yeah. I 100% agree. I think that's why I really like Muse, is because he is an artist, and I really think they could have done something with the like struggling artist, like drawn or driven to insanity to try and promote himself and get notoriety and fame. I think that's totally relevant and something I could I don't know. I enjoyed that storyline, and I think they could have done something with it. And just having him be like a kid who never really found like his purpose, I guess, just being like, and who was handed all these things that he didn't want to do until he was like, I guess I'll just make blood portraits. That'll be cool.
And then he's like weirdly obsessed with the therapist.
Yeah.
Even though like barely know each other, and then Matt, he comes and he's just like, no fucking way.
Holy shit, that's my girlfriend. I mean, that's where my short came from. I was like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter how good his strokes are, how thick his paint is, how hard he's pressing into that paper. There's no fucking way. He was like, yep.
And that's where I'm like, that's the original creative team one that like, that's a Disney, like that just felt like so half baked to me. They're like, how do we get him to discover that? And some guy's just like, what happens if he feels his girlfriend's face in the morning and he goes out and feels the picture? And then I'm just like,
if they did like a sculpture, like some fucked up sculpture, and Matt's like touching that,
Yeah,
he's like, it's like kind of similar to my girlfriend. Oh, what the hell? Like, then I'd be like, okay, sure, it's a fucking painting.
I mean, we could do a breakdown of like, I feel like in these middle episodes, I feel like there's just a few things that don't quite make sense.
Yeah.
I don't think it takes away from the show, but it's not perfected the way that I would have envisioned it.
100%.
Where I think the first episode, there's like a disconnect from me from this first episode and then these last couple episodes because of, you know, what happened with a new creative team taking over. And I wish we got more of like these last episodes, because the other thing I didn't like, August, they're at the port. Him and Karen are at the port. By the way, Karen just like thrown in at the end. I had to show up. I heard Bullseye got out, and I'm like, it's only been like a couple hours. You got a flight from San Francisco to New York already, but whatever.
That's true. Holy shit, you're right. Well, reports
because she got there.
Reports of
when
Bullseye.
The city was shut down.
That's true. Reports of Bullseye escaping though happened way before the No, they didn't. Fisk didn't.
It's all
Fisk
the same
found out
time.
at the place. Oh my god, you're right.
And I just feel like
that's a 5-hour
stuff
flight.
Like, yeah, I just feel like that type of stuff was crammed in there because they, and you could be like, maybe she has Google News alerts about Bullseye, but I'm like, that's just because the original creative team didn't want to bring her back on.
They killed her.
Then the new creative team did the right move, brought these characters back, but then you have to like make it work with, you know, the episodes they're allotted.
Yeah.
And I want to say, August, and I think I said this in our last video, did Kevin Feige not promise us like 18 episodes or something?
You should have really.
I thought it was supposed to be longer.
Really look into this.
That being said, season 2 is confirmed. They're filming it.
Yeah.
And I'll say I have a lot of faith on that. Like moving forward, I have a lot of faith. I think
100%.
they had a lot of pieces to pick up, from 7 years later. That obviously is a struggle, and I'm giving them credit. Like they did a good enough job for me to enjoy watching every episode and,
Yeah.
and be gripped to come back every week. And like I said in the first video we did, that episode one's a hooker, dude. Like
I'm
that's gonna
sorry.
get people.
It's a what?
Yeah. And it works. Like they made a product that it's good. I just have like a few gripes like that where they shove so much into that last episode with Frank and like the police, the task force. Like that's a whole storyline we could go on.
Oh yeah, I
And then,
have something to say about that.
do you want to talk about it now?
No, you keep going.
I just didn't love the ending. So when Karen, sorry, getting back, Karen, Matt at the port, Frank's locked in. I'm like, okay, we're gonna get a 6 scene, Matt breaking in, freeing Frank. We body 30 fucking wannabes.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go balls out, and Karen's like, "You're gonna die in there." And I was like, "What is that?" I was like, "What happened to the guy that will go on the rooftop and fight 100 fucking ninjas to the death
while bleeding out?"
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my god, the one bullet making him like. I was like, I saw this guy get clawed on the back by a ninja with a scythe and like hook thing. I was like, one bullet to the shoulder.
I mean,
Okay.
I don't hold that against him because it's like the Netflix show that shit was unrealistic, and I'm not saying it has to be, but I kind of appreciate that a fucking bullet to the shoulder. He wasn't just like, that's nothing, I'm good. It's been 2 hours.
Well, I think it should be weak, but I don't think it should be weak enough for him to go, I can't go in there and do what I need to do.
100%. I agree.
But what they wanted to lead to, which I think there was a different way of doing it, is to him saying, we need allies. Like, we need people. And then so they're at the thing at Josie's and they open the door, and there's legitimately like 5 people in the room.
I think there's 6, actually.
Like, legitimately, there's like 2 cops, the detective guy, the new like Asian lady detective,
some other random cops, and Josie herself.
Yeah, I was like,
all right.
now if you open the door and it's like a room, like I just needed more bodies in the room to feel like they really have a fighting chance, because if he doesn't, he knows something's happening down there. If you're going to wait a day and let whatever's happening happen, I want to feel like you really have an army, because that's what he said. We need an army.
Yeah.
And you got five people and an old guy.
I think where that changes is that, or the way I saw it is that he's starting his army. Like, he doesn't know exactly what's going on, but he's like, I need to get my captains and generals in here so that we can start building an army, which is what I think will go, and I'll talk about this in prediction, is, what is it, Shadow World? Or where he's wearing the black suit or something, and he's like in whatever.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I know the storyline you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I mean, besides that, they really have amped up. I just think that they had a story constraint with like what they already shot versus when they took over.
Yeah.
And I think that's like apparent. But I'm excited going forward because of what this team did only in 3 episodes. Right?
Yeah.
Like it was the last episode 8 was like such a good episode. I was on the edge of my seat. And you don't know what's gonna happen, right? Like they keep uncovering all this stuff. But yeah, I'll let you go to whatever you want to say.
Yeah, I mean, I also want to say, like, throughout the show, a lot of tension. Like, I had a lot of tension. I was like, oh my god, like, depending if Fisk was there or Muse was there. Like, when Muse was revealing himself to the therapist, I thought that was done, like, really well. Like, maybe his motivation sucked, but again, like, I was like, oh shit, what, like, is this woman gonna die? But, I do want to talk about the Punisher scene where, like, all the cops kind of reveal himself. I think Frank talked himself in, like, circles. I don't think he made his point really well, because I've seen that comic page where, like, he confronts the Punisher cops and he's like, I break the law so that you don't have to. Like, this is my war, not yours. And I don't think he, like, conveyed that very well. That's just my, like, writing critique right there, is that I don't think he said what he needed to say in that, because
yeah, I didn't love the Punisher stuff. He was like, what did he say? He was like, You think
You're
you
just
know
a
my
bunch of
pain?
clowns in a circus. Look at
Yeah,
you clowns, you fucking clowns.
You know my pain. You know my pain.
You know my pain. You're just clowns.
Um,
I love that he's back. I love that he's back.
I
Not his
do. I
greatest
love John
monologue.
Bernthal. I love John Bernthal. I think they have a great opportunity to do something great with that character. But you're right. Like I don't think they addressed that stuff well.
No.
But besides that, I think you're also right about the dialogue in this show is really like they're able to build tension successfully every time. Even in the bank episode, I think the dialogue's good if you hate it or love it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of our thoughts. But going into review, I think we've kind of said it. No numbers. We've moved past that. It's good. I think it's super solid. A great start. The new creative team has shown that they can and will do really good work.
It might sound like we've been shitting on this first creative team. We're not shitting on them. I just think that the direction that they originally were given was it's the opposite of what the second team was doing. So there's like this contradiction between these sets of episodes, and they try to bridge that overall with like the Fisk thing overall. And I will say, like, they wrote some great characters in this show.
100%.
Like that little scumbag guy that works for Fisk that they promoted to like
oh my god,
the cheap and news. I hate that guy.
That guy
and they
is
wrote
so
him
hateable.
so good. Like there's so many characters that they added that I was like, oh my god, the purpose that they wrote it so well because I hate that guy.
Yeah, that guy. I wanna like his last scene where he's like smiling. He's like,
oh my god.
Okay, council members. I mean, if you want to do it, I could tell everybody about your Swiss bank accounts. And they're like, oh. I was like, I want to beat the shit out of this guy. He's fantastic.
And someone else that I don't think we talked about either is BB. I liked all the BB stuff, and I hope that continues to grow.
So good.
But I do think what they do is a great job of also, because in Daredevil Born Again, the comic, there's like this weird thing where Matt no one believes what he's yapping about. They're like, this guy's just yapping.
He's crazy.
No one trusts what he's doing. And they convey that really well in the last couple episodes where he's like, Foggy, he had the thing, I swear, like, he was going to file the motion, and people are like, yo, bro,
you're high as
you gotta
hell.
chill out, dude. Like, you gotta chill out. And, like, his partner, I forget her name off the top of my head, is like, yo, like, we gotta talk because you reel it back in, bro. You gotta reel it back in. And I think they do a great job of carrying over some of the emotion of the original story by Frank Miller into this without having to be, to the T with, like, Captain America showing up and all these random things.
Yeah.
They did end it with, in that last episode, the very first issue. August, I don't know if you've read Daredevil Born Again.
I have not. No.
But the very first issue is Matt's apartment blowing up. And they ended it with that. So I'm excited to see how this story keeps going.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I think now we get into some predictions.
Yeah.
So what do we know? We know that Matt is basically kind of on the run at this point. Like, Kingpin knows who he is, and he ordered him dead. But, I mean, not publicly. Daredevil's all outlawed. All vigilantes are outlawed. And I'm legitimately forgetting what the comic is. I know Devil's Reign is basically that, which happened very recently, where all the street-level superheroes come together. And I would really love to see some of those Defenders come back, whether it's Jessica Jones and Luke Cage. I think there's a strong chance that White Tiger, Ava, I forget her last name, but the White Tiger we see in Ultimate Spider-Man, I think there's and in Daredevil Born Again, I think there's a strong chance that she shows up in some capacity. It won't happen. It won't ever happen. But it would make sense for Spider-Man to show up. I mean, he got a shout out, and it would fit perfectly. I know I've said in a lot of previous reviews, I want things to be more separate. I want more like just independent stories. But I feel like this story would really benefit from the people who would be there to be in this story and fighting alongside Matt. But I'm super curious to see how Matt builds his army and becomes kind of the symbol of New York.
Yeah, so I think 100% we have to see like Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Jessica Jones. There's no way that if he's building a squad to take people like to fight against this, that at least those players have to be on the table.
Yeah.
I do think Spider-Man Like, there's no way Spider-Man wouldn't show up if Fisk shuts down vigilantism.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just no way.
Yeah.
But I understand just the
Yes.
world that we live in.
Sony's a
Sony,
little
all this,
bitch.
they won't include it. But it would go crazy if they did.
It would go hard, dude. If Spider-Man shows up, he's like, I'm here to help. And
there's an interesting thing going on with Bullseye that I'm just not quite. Oh, the Foggy. What are you thinking about Foggy?
I thought, okay, I had this prediction, and I'm glad I never said it out loud. I almost texted to you when Vanessa was like, I have to tell you something, Wilson. I gotta tell you something. And you're thinking, oh, she put out the hit on Foggy. I thought the reveal was gonna be like, oh, I'm pregnant with our son, and it was gonna be this, like, I don't know, whatever that is. And it was like, no, Foggy put the hit on himself. And you're like, what? Because everybody's like, he's alive. He's got to be alive. And honestly, at this point, I don't know. There is a lot of evidence. People have broken it down. They're like, well, this number over here means that it was a reference to this Foggy comic where he faked his death. And I could totally see that happening, where the writers got this shitty situation where they're like, yeah, Foggy is dead, and we filmed 6 episodes where we say he's dead. Now we got to fix it. I don't know what they're going to do with him.
I just don't know, like, why would, like, what's the actual in-world reason that Foggy would want to fake his own death?
Tired of
Is it because he is fearing of the Fisk? But I still think in the comic where he does fake his own death, Vanessa Fisk is part of that. Like, so I think there's a chance, but it'd be interesting if they keep us on our toes, right? And he is just dead.
Yeah.
That being said, I see Foggy coming back. Like, I
feel like they said he came back. Like, he's confirmed for season 2. I don't know if that's like.
I mean, that could be flashbacks of him like discovering stuff about the port or whatever, the free port.
The port.
They did add a bunch of great notes, I think, on Fisk. Like, Fisk's character was pretty good this whole time, where you see like what he was originally built and why he kind of hates Matt. He's like, I built a society of blue-collar millionaires, and this guy came and smashed it.
Beat
and you're
the
like,
shit
bro,
out of me.
You were literally like trading opium. Like, what do we?
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, you kind of see his delusion a little bit, which I really love. But yeah. That being said, moving forward, they have to bring in some different players to help Matt, because this is such a big event, right? Like, we see New York City get shut down. We see the task force running around on the streets. So I'm excited to see what they do.
I'm very curious. Now that this is like a straight up MCU connected like piece, does this like factor in any capacity to Thunderbolts? Because that happens in New York. It looks like their final battle happens in New York. I am very curious to see if we get some of the like anti-vigilante task force just like showing up and then being fucking thrashed in any just not even like being effective, just simply dying. I know Fisk isn't allowed to show up, and Vincent D'Onofrio said that himself. Like, it's caught up in like rights, probably because of Sony, but
I don't know how Sony is involved in Thunderbolts, but
well, they're involved with Kingpin.
Oh, see, I don't know. Like, I don't think this will be mentioned at all on Thunderbolts, which kind of upsets me because it's such a big event.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see, like, we obviously didn't get like Charlie Cox's chair and the fucking bullshit. But,
Doomsday! Doomsday! Yeah!
But I'll be interested to see what happens, you know? Because I honestly don't feel like this. It's great because the show feels like a continuation of Daredevil season 3.
Yeah.
But I don't feel connected to the MCU like that much, to be honest.
I was glad Jack showed up.
Jack. Whatever. I guess that's like the point of the bank episode too. Is like, see, Miss Marvel's dad's there.
And Miss Marvel was in that movie that none of you went and saw.
Yeah. So like, it's there. I wasn't feeling it, but
Yeah.
to each their own.
I was still happy about that it still felt like it was its own thing, and you had your little hints. Like, I was totally fine with Kamala's dad showing up and be like, I'm a bank worker and I am here, and oh shit, things are happening. I was fine with that.
Yeah, but I feel like when you have such a big event like Fisk taking over New York, it's like
There's got to be
next
something.
season I need to see at least the original Defenders.
Yeah. They're
Um,
gonna introduce the new Iron Fist. What's up? I'm Iron Fist. You're not Iron Fist. I have a sword in my arms. Okay. Good enough for
You're
me.
not blonde. Yeah. So I think we've said what we need to say.
Yeah. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video, whatever that is. Bye.